Morning students, welcome to history class. Dear students, we are learning about the second lesson now, that is growth of nationalism. Our lesson now, we have already started the meaning of the term nationalism, and now we are learning about the various causes or the factors for the growth of nationalism in India after the revolt of 1857. We have learned now that economic policies of the Britishers were the most important reason for the rise of nationalism or the growth of nationalism in our country. Okay. The economic policies of the Britishers. So the economic policies followed by the British rulers were not in the interest of India, we all know. They introduced policies in India for their benefit only. They did not care the Indians. Okay. So that is the meaning. These were in the interests of their own country, that is England. India was being impoverished by the British land policies and the destruction of indigenous industries. Their policies destroyed the Indian industries. Their policies destroyed the Indian agriculture. So what happened? Many people became the victims of their economic policies. For example, they levied a high rate of land revenue. The Britishers increased the land revenue. The British made the Indian peasants terribly poor, so the farmers had to pay the increased revenue. They were not able to pay this one. So what was the condition of the Indian farmers during the Britishers after the revolt of 1857? A very, very pathetic condition of the Indian farmers. Now, pathetic means very poor conditions. Okay, so the government did not care the farmers. Instead, they introduced a number of taxes and they charged a number of taxes from the poor farmers. So the victims of their economic policy, we have learned now how did their economic policy affect the what we can say. Okay, Indian farmers we have learned. Then artisans and craftsmen we have learned. Artisans and the craftsmen. Due to their economic policy, for example, so this picture show the poverty of the in India during the British period, poverty and the famine. Okay, famine. There were many famines in India due to the economic policies of the Britishers. So what happened? These famines killed millions of people in India. But the Britishers, did nothing for the Indians. That we will learn. Now, one point is so the repressive colonial policies of the Britishers were one reason for the growth of nationalism. Let me explain the one more point: the working class and their feeling. The growth of modern industries led to the birth of a new social class in India, the working class. They were exploited by the factory owners who were generally Englishmen. So the Britishers introduced or established a number of industries in India on those days. And the workers of the industries were mainly Indians, and they had to work long hours, but their wage was very less. Then another point, they formed a small section of the population. They represented a new social outlook. Their outlook and interests were very broad, covering whole of India. Though their factories were located in cities, all these factories made their political thinking far more significant than the numerical strength. So the emergence of a new class, working class, and their outlook, Emergence of a new class of people due to the establishment of industries in India, and these industries caused the emergence of a new class of people, the working class, and their outlook. Okay, so they joined the national movement, and what was the feeling of the educated Indians? The only employment available to the educated Indians was government service, in which competition was high and the chances of promotions were bleak. They had hoped that British capitalism would help to develop India's productive forces as it had done for Britain. Instead, they found that British policies were keeping India economically backward. The educated Indians and their feeling and their what we call awareness, the whole sections of the society felt that their economic salvation lay in freeing themselves from the British rule. To achieve this objective, the Indian people had to come together on a national platform. In this process, the spirit of nationalism received a powerful stimulus. So listen once again, the economic policies introduced by the Britishers on India after the revolt of 1857 or their economic exploitation was one major cause for the rise of nationalism in India, because their policies affected all the sections of the society. All the sections. So the farmers, artisans, craftsmen, the working class, the educated Indian, all sections. So all these people were the victims of their policies. So what happened finally? So they finally realized the need for freeing India from the yoke of British rule. So they united. Who united? These people united, and this was an encouragement for the growth or the nationalism. There was the growth of nationalism. Okay. Now another point, a second point. Once again, economic exploitation and the growth of nationalism in India. So this picture shows Bipin Chandra Pal, a great freedom fighter, a great leader. We will learn about him afterwards. Okay, Bipin Chandra Pal, Lala Lajpat Rai. Okay, so many were there. That the grand old man of India. Okay, Dadabhai Nauroji. Okay, Gopalkrishna Gokhale. Many were there. They were the leaders of the national movement in India. Anyway, here listen. Repressive colonial policies of the British. Repressive. What do you mean by repressive? So the word repressive means preventing personal freedom. Preventing some repressive means, so some of the policies introduced by the Britishers on India were against the personal freedoms of the Indian. Okay, so this was one reason for the growth of nationalism in India. Okay, we will learn the policies or the repressive policies introduced by Britishers. The nature of the British colonial rule over India helped the growth of national sentiment among the Indians. The British had conquered India to promote their own interests and therefore followed such repressive policies so as to make India subservient in the needs of Britain. Okay, we know that you know. This picture shows Rajaram Mohan Roy. We will learn about him. Rajaram Mohan Roy and his role for the growth of nationalism in India. Rajaram Mohan Roy was a great social reformer. We will learn about his Brahma Samaj. Okay, Society of God. Okay, we will learn about Rajaram Mohan Roy and his contributions for the growth of nationalism. The role played by Rajaram Mohan Roy to change the society. Okay, he was a great social reformer. There was one more, Jyotiba Phule. Okay, before that, let me explain the policies introduced by Britishers in India. Okay, repressive colonial policy. So their policies became the major barrier to India's economic, social, cultural, intellectual and political development. Their policies, the policies of the British were the main cause for the backwardness of India. Okay. Some of these repressive policies, especially those followed by Lord Lytton, Viceroy of India, from 1876 to 1880. Lord Lytton was a viceroy. We know viceroy, Queen's representatives on India, viceroy. Lord Lytton was an anti-Indian viceroy. That is why he introduced a number of policies during his tenure, and these policies were totally against the interest of the Indians. Okay, you will learn about his policies. The policies introduced by Lord Lytton. Okay, one, Lord Lytton organized a grand Delhi Darbar in 1877 to proclaim Queen Victoria as the Empress of India. Lakhs of rupees were spent on the event, but nothing was done for the Indians who were in the grip of famine. Okay. So, one policy, Lord Lytton convened a very grand Delhi Darbar, a meeting of the officials. And he spent lakhs of rupees for this program, meeting, when the people were in the grip of famine. Okay. Instead of helping the people during the situation, okay, he did nothing for the people, but he spent lakhs of rupees for that grand Darbar only, Delhi Darbar, in order to proclaim, announce Queen Victoria as the Empress of India. Okay, one policy that was against the interest of the Indians, Lord Lytton and his policy. Second one, okay, Lord Lytton introduced the Vernacular Press Act 1878 and the Indian Arms Act 1878. Another policies, introduced by Lord Lytton. One was the Vernacular Press Act. What was the Vernacular Press Act? Vernacular means regional. Press Act. You know press, no? In India, press, no? Okay, listen, Vernacular Press Act and the Indian Arms Act. The Vernacular Press Act forbade vernacular papers to publish any material that might excite feelings of dissatisfaction against the British government. This act was not applicable to English newspapers. In 1882, this act was repealed by Lord Ripon. Okay, so Lord Lytton and his Vernacular Press Act, it was an act introduced by Lord Lytton during his tenure in India to control the Indian newspapers. Because on those days, Indian newspapers were criticizing, every day. These newspapers were printing materials or news of the wrong policy of Britishers, and this was a headache for the the British government. So in order to control them, in order to control the newspapers, the Britishers introduced the Vernacular Press Act. According to this act, the Indian newspapers were not allowed to publish a matter which was against the interest of the British newspaper. Interest. Listen, the Vernacular Press Act forbade vernacular papers to publish any material that might produce feelings of dissatisfaction against the British government. Okay. So this is an important point, Vernacular Press Act. Once again I will explain this in the coming video. So what was the Vernacular Press Act meaning? Second, why did the Britishers introduce this act? Second point. And third point, what was the impact of this act? 3 point. Okay. What was the impact of this? Picture shows Lala Lajpat Rai, Aurobindo Ghosh, where the early nationalists. We will learn about Lala Lajpat Rai, Bipin Chandra Pal and Balagangatha Tilak, Aurobindo Ghosh and their role. Okay. So please revise the lesson. Thank you.